Fish on First Live is presented by About the Fans. We've partnered with them this season on a brand new merchandise collection featuring t-shirts, polos, hats, and other accessories that Marlins fans will absolutely love. Head on over to aboutthefans.com to shop the FOF collection. Use our special coupon code FOF10 to save 10% off your order. Enter code FOF10 at checkout to save 10% and continue supporting what we do over here.
This is Griffin Conan.
This is Xavier Edwards.
This is Liam Hicks.
This is Dave Myers, and you're watching Fish on First Live.
Welcome to a new episode of Fish on First Live, presented by About the Fans. Eli Sussman here, Kevin Burrell, Nate Karsmer, special guest Billy Gill joining us as well for the first time this season. Very quick plug, of course, for About the Fans. You can see the promo code scrolling across the bottom, FOF10 at checkout to save 10%. Get a shirt like this, other designs inspired by certain players. This hat itself, you cannot get that from our store. That is from the Bullet Sky Carpet, as we were talking about before going live right here. So before getting into this Brave series that has people feeling a lot of different ways, and of course the Guardians later on, it is Billy's first time on the show this season. It's good to have you on, Billy. I wanted to get your just general thoughts in terms of what's your confidence level in this Marlins organization, given how this year has gone compared to what you may have thought, just for the rest of this year and then 2026 and beyond. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for having me on. How are you guys doing? How are you?
Excited to have you on.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. I don't know if I believe that, but thanks for saying that. It's been a fun season, right? Like, I don't think that anyone had a ton of expectations going into it. I mean, there were the most optimistic people I don't think would have said, midway through August, you'd still be, kind of in playoff contention. The last series didn't help with that situation, obviously, but it's a new day, Eli.
Absolutely is. Coming off a much needed off day for this team. We need to get into this Brave series, a rare 5-game series, the longest series of the year. Felt like one of the more important ones of the season, and this team absolutely fell on its face, losing 4 out of 5 in Atlanta. I'll start with Nate on this. Like, any result of any series shouldn't surprise us that much. Any team could beat any other team, especially if one of those teams is that has home field advantage. But Nate, for them to lose 4 out of 5 for several of these games to not really be that competitive at the very end of it, it feels like a huge blow, and it's just pretty big surprise, just considering how consistently this team had been winning series throughout June and July before this.
Yeah, I think it's just a perfect reminder to suppress your expectations with this team. Billy just touched on that. This team was supposed to lose 100 games this year, guys. Let's not forget that. Just to be in contention at this point in the season is a miracle, and you got to, I guess, just be happy and be grateful for that, because this is a rude awakening. Everything that could have gone wrong essentially did go wrong this series. I think you have to start out with the managerial decisions. Clayton has done a lot better recently, even generating some manager of the year talk in our previous spaces after the Yankees series on Sunday. And he responded by, it's easy to say, the worst managed series of the entire season somehow. You got to start with Friday's game, going with Josh Simpson in that 7th inning to blow that lead. Saturday's game 1, leaving Dane Myers in with runners on first and second, nobody out, and the most predictable double play probably of all time, and he did just that. Throwing out George Soriano, who was a walking, 2-run homer every time he goes out there in a high leverage situation. Saving Ronnie Enriquez on Sunday, saving Lake Bacher, like those guys that you can go to in high leverage. And there's an off day. There was an off day yesterday, so that you can use those guys in that situation. So all around, just no fun. I did call Truist Park hell, for lack of a better term, on our spaces after Thursday's game, and I stand by that. Something about these Braves, whether they're the worst team in baseball in the last 2 months or so, it doesn't matter. They play the Marlins tough. They'll find a way to beat them. And I think in a season like this, like I said, you got to, take the highs. I guess a bright spot in the series was Jacob Marcy continues to shine. That guy is an absolute stud, getting on base, stealing bases, doing stuff in the outfield. And Xavier Edwards is near the batting title lead for the NL, and that's my guy. So you always love to see that, hitting above 300 for the first time since mid-April. Erie struggled a little bit, but that's going to come. It's a little bit of highs and lows with this season. So overall, yeah, like I said, zero fun, but got to look ahead. And the Mets did. I think they're on a 6-game win streak right now, so they didn't lose a lot of ground in the NL wildcard competition. So I don't think anyone wants that third spot right now. So maybe the Marlins will get back on their feet in Cleveland and Boston. But got to start today.
Yeah, 7-game losing streak for the Mets. They have been awful lately, and that is the team that now the Marlins are trailing them still by 6 games. So they actually made up ground over the course of the series a little bit. It's just that there's the teams in between them, of course. That's the bigger question here. Nate brought it up briefly there, Kevin, on your boy George Soriano. I think this might be it for him, huh? He gets 1 inning after being recalled. He'd been pitching well in AAA, but he allows 4 earned runs to let one of those games get out of reach. So he gets sent down immediately before today's game. A 9 ERA this year, and it doesn't look better under the hood either. It's a 7 FIP this season. Last year it was a ERA in the 6s, and it was a FIP. This might be it for him, don't you think?
I mean, I don't even know why he got called up in the first place, to be honest with you. I love George Soriano. He's my guy. I was on him. I thought he was a really good player for a very long time in the minors, but this 2023 season just seems like an anomaly at this point. Unfortunately, never really got the slider going again, and it hasn't been good for him. And for some reason, there's a guy named Tyler Zuber now on the Marlins 26-man roster too, which I don't understand that one either. Aside from that, I mean, yeah, this was. Let me start by saying this. I want to say I may have watched a total of 20 pitches out of these 5 games.
Oh.
But I am tapped in enough to know what actually occurred thanks to our lovely Fish on First chat and the highlights and the recaps. And I agree with Nate. This was a horrid 5-game series for the Marlins. Like it's really bad. Like you're winning 6-2 at one point and you blow that. Winning 4-1, you blow that. You let Josh Simpson pitch to 7th. You let him blow that. Then you go with George Soriano. He blows that too. You let Raisel Iglesias get his 15th save of the season. He hasn't been great. Like, it's really bad. And it's very unlucky. Very unlucky too.
Very doom and gloom today.
Very unlucky too. You let, like Jerickson Profar robs Agustin Ramirez of a home run.
That wall's a joke. That is a baby wall. Why is that wall so short?
I was also informed that Tyler Phillips was a high leverage reliever a couple days ago by someone on Spaces, and look how that turned out. So, also, they didn't use Ronnie Henriquez at all. They're in the doubleheader. Him, Bender. Bender was out. All these other guys, the actual relievers, they didn't use them. They're in the week. They're in the doubleheader. Like, explain that to me. Sandy didn't look good at all. He's looked terrible. So ever since the deadline, it was really bad. And I was told that the Marlins would win this series many times, but unfortunately, the Braves always have the Marlins' hands.
Series, and I predicted them to win the series, and they predicted.
Yeah, to be fair, we all did say that. We all
yes. Yeah,
Billy
didn't. He didn't predict a win or a loss. So
yeah. And like you said, Ronnie Enriquez only went on. I believe he only went on Thursday, and that was it. He got out of that one bit inning, and then that was it for him. But I just lost in the fray that we didn't talk about because there was so much talk about in this 5-game series. Edward Cabrera, that guy, I believe he is a certified stud at this point. Going back out there for the 8th, I was like, well, it's really surprising, especially, Clayton has had a really short leash with all his guys notoriously this entire season. Goes out, strikes out the side, and I think under 10 pitches. That was probably my favorite moment from him in his entire career. That was incredible to watch. The guy's been such a spectacle recently. He's been the Sandy, like we've seen from 2022. If you need a win, you need, solid 6-7 innings out of a guy, you go to Edward Cabrera now, and that's incredible to see. His curveball continues to be great. His sinker going away from that 4-seam is awesome. So I just let you guys go more in depth on this, but just so fun to watch. And without Edward Cabrera, we could be talking about a 5-game sweep in Truist Park. So very grateful for Cappy this weekend.
I apologize if this is the name I'm going to mention right after Edward Cabrera, but Cal Quantrill, did he end up actually getting sick? Did he not get sick? Like what happened here? Because apparently it was a managerial decision, and then he got sick. So what ended up happening to Cal here?
Yeah, to touch briefly on Quantrill, I think the explanation afterwards is that he was sick coming to the ballpark, and they knew he was under the weather, but felt like he was good enough to pitch, just didn't know how his body would respond to actually doing it. had checked in with him during the course of the game and decided that after 4 innings, he was kind of wearing down a little bit in a way that they felt they didn't want to stick with him. And it was a tie game at the time. He had been getting outs, but it wasn't pretty in the process of doing so.
Yikes.
So, and then the bullpen ends up blowing that game again. That was on Sunday. It's a touch on Cabrera. He continues to delight me. It has been far and away the most pleasant surprise on the pitching side for the Marlins this season, to have him go from somebody that you didn't even feel all that confident about sticking in the rotation whatsoever to now being the best pitcher in that rotation over the course of this year. And I was really looking at it this morning, and a comp that is making more and more sense is what happened with Jake Arrieta like a decade ago when he went to Chicago. And you pull up the numbers for Eddie since the start of May, because he was very bad his first few starts off the IL, but you take out those starts and it lines up pretty well with when Jake Arrieta kind of suddenly became the ace of the Cubs in the mid 2010s, and the way that they go about doing it, just really hard to hit. The control is now good enough. And in his case, sometimes it's more than good enough. Sometimes it's really a huge asset for him, and just so consistent. And now he's able to go deep in the games. This was 8 innings. Like I did not think I'd live to see the day of him pitching 8 innings in a major league game, maybe in a minor league game, maybe in Japan or something once he washed out of the big leagues. The fact that he's doing this in the big leagues, it's been an amazing story. Hey, well, Billy, you were saying we were a little bit too gloomy. So what is...
Well, you guys have flipped me, right? I came in here and I was like, I'm going to be positive. We didn't have expectations for this season. Nate was saying it. Some were thinking this might be a 100-loss season. But as the season's played out, and as things stand now, especially come award season at the end of the year, Agustin Ramirez may be Rookie of the Year. There's been some chatter in group chats about Kyle Stowers and how seriously he should be taken for MVP this season. You mentioned Clayton McCullough, Manager of the Year candidate, Xavier Edwards, batting champion. I mean, honestly, with all these awards that the Marlins are in contention for and probably will win, I think some people could say the season has been a massive disappointment. Would you not?
I don't know. Well, let's see if they win any of those awards. It's become more of a stretch. I think this really hurt Clayton's Manager of the Year argument. Also because in Milwaukee, the Brewers won every single game they've played like for the last week and a half. So it's looking like a runaway with the Brewers manager likely going to win that. With Augustine, his Rookie of the Year shots, I think, Nate, you could go into this a little bit. A big factor in this series was Drake Baldwin delivering pretty critical hits in those, especially that first win, and then I think in the first game of Saturday's doubleheader as well. Like Baldwin may have pulled away in Rookie of the Year compared to Augustine going head to head, because there was that tough luck, the fact that Gus lost a home run on that robbery. But even if you look outside of that, Baldwin is now kind of neck and neck with him in some counting stats, and then you actually look at him as an overall hitter, and it's not really that close for the season overall.
Yeah, well, you guys brought up Profar. He decided to play like Ken Griffey Jr. all weekend, and then Drake Baldwin decided to play like Johnny Bench for game 1, and that did not help the Marlins at all. I believe he had 3 hits. All of them were key. He had the first homer off here in the first inning, and then obviously went back-to-back. And then that key one, I brought it up plenty of times. Home plate umpire Chris Guccione missed a call, domino effect. Drake Baldwin hits a 3-run tank. Marlins ended up losing that game. So, Drake Baldwin, he's an amazing player. He put it on full display, honestly, the entire weekend. What really sets him apart, obviously, is that defense behind the plate compared to Augustine. Much more complete defender. You can definitely argue he was a much more complete hitter in terms of average, getting on base. I don't know if you guys have checked this, but Augustine has not been walking at all recently. I think his OBP is maybe 60 points higher, or a little bit than his batting average. So you definitely need to see that improve. But obviously, Augustine didn't have in the power department. But after that home run robbery, it feels like Augustine hasn't been going. I don't think he's gone deep since the second game of the Yankees series, I believe, when he had those 2 in the same game. So a little bit of a struggle there for him. But I'd say right now Drake is not running away with it, but he has a firm grasp just because of the better all-around play. And then, of course, going head-to-head against your direct competition and putting up the game that he did on that Thursday night, that's going to help you out a lot.
I don't know. I think Baldwin's kind of running away with this one. And you kind of noted it, Nate. Augustine just is not walking, not getting on base. And I feel like recently it feels like it's been boom or bust at the plate. Like you're going to hit a home run or they're going to strike out. And that's what it's really been these last couple of weeks. And on top of that, you mentioned the defense. clearly Drake Baldwin's a better defender, and that's no disrespect to Augustine. It's just hasn't been good all year on the plate. So I think it is fair to say that Drake Baldwin probably solidified himself or very close to as the National League Rookie of the Year. Now, Augustine probably will finish top 2, top 3 in the voting, so you'll take that. But unfortunately, I think this series not solidified it, but really almost essentially did in some sort of way. Like, he's right there to really winning it. And that's with Sean Murphy, who's a pretty good player, in that same, as the other catcher on this team. And you kind of ask yourself, man, you could have traded him and you could have gone with Baldwin as your guy. But again, backup situations always get big in baseball. I know as Arrays did with Nick Fortes. But I think Baldwin has certainly solidified himself as the front runner for this National League Rookie of the Year.
There's still like a quarter of the season left. We still have like 44 games. There's time.
Augustine isn't even getting on base at a 300.
Don't give up faith here, Kevin. Don't give up hope. Don't be a Nate.
Here's our usual look at the wild card standings, and you see it really is all about the Mets at this point. I think the Padres, they're playing really well, and how balanced the team it is. I think it's unlikely that you make up 9.5 games on them, but 6 games against the Mets, especially when you go gotta keep reminding people they go head to head 2 more series with the Mets. It is not totally within their control. What's the word I'm looking for? They don't totally control their own destiny just because a lot of those other teams in between as well that they don't play against head to head. But they're going to have those opportunities. One in New York later this month, and then at the very end of the season is when they host the Mets in Miami to finish off the season right here. I put up a little thing on fishonfirst.com for people that want to keep it straight who you're rooting for. If you want a rooting guide in terms of all these teams trying to lose, I laid it out in terms of who they're playing this week. So maybe it's a little bit too early for that.
But it's never too early.
Yeah, in fact, the Braves are playing the Mets right now for these next few days. So as frustrating as that series loss is, you got to root for the Braves now these next few days to continue to chip away at that deficit with the Mets in the standings, I think.
So we've given up on the division, I see. Just focusing on the wild card at the moment.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're looking at how many games behind the Phillies? 11, 12? 12?
Yeah.
That's
a long season to go, though, Billy.
There you go. Exact. Kevin gets it. He knows.
And the fact that we even have a rooting guide in the middle of August, after, like I mentioned, this team had the 3rd lowest odds to win the World Series this year. Just be grateful for this ride and that the positive elements that we've seen all year from Stowie, from Cabrera, from all these guys. Just enjoy the ride. Obviously, that Braves series was tough, but you don't want to put too much stock into that. There's still a long road. There's some positivity for you, Billy, in case you're missing it.
No. Like, I think so. What you're saying is right, and I think that people might lose perspective and lose faith in this team. Yeah. But the fact that you get back from being 16 games under 500 to 500 is pretty remarkable. And to get to the playoffs, you usually have to be around 10 games over. The Marlins got into the playoffs 2 years ago, 6 games over 500. But let's say even it was 6 games over 500, right? At a certain point, they'd have to be playing 22 games over 500 to even get to that. So that's kind of crazy that a team that was that far out of it has gotten back into it. And there's going to be ebbs and flows. And it seems like they're going to be a team that hovers right around 500 the rest of the season. And that's perfectly fine, especially compared to where expectations are. And you find young guys that are pieces that you can build around next season. And you then add a free agent or two, even if they're not big names. And then you can really see next season what you can do with this team, right? And I think the deadline, well, everyone was expecting them to get rid of pitching and kind of start another rebuild of sorts or a mini rebuild. They didn't. They might in the offseason if they get the right packages still, right? But I mean, I think that's reassuring that you're still kind of in contention and you do have pieces here to have a semi-competitive team without really adding anything.
Yeah, I mean, Avi Garcia underwent a back surgery this year, but he's available next year. So you never know if that's the free agent. Former Rays guy, too.
Okay. Zip it up, Kevin.
Yeah. As
Gene Segura? He's available.
Segura officially retired.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you never know. Makes the Jordan comeback.
I was hopeful for him, honestly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I wanted that to work.
Don't tell Alex Carver, fish on the farm.
Oh, I guess that's my cue to grab.
Yeah, it is.
For it.
We're gonna look up some sky carp.
Cannot wait. He's absolutely cooked. Done. His career is over. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, that might be applicable to George Soriano at this point as well.
Yikes.
Don't think my guy like that.
Right there. Somebody asked me, just going through, the live chat is popping today. So thanks to everybody on YouTube and Twitter who are submitting
Brian.
to that. Yeah, Brian, you were doing a lot of the heavy lifting here even before the show. So we thank you as always for the support and the enthusiasm here. Also want to show our appreciation. We just crossed 3,000 YouTube subscribers over the weekend, so that was very much appreciated. And all you have to do is subscribe in order to comment in the live chat. If you're watching this and for whatever reason it's not letting you in, that's probably because you didn't pick the subscribe button. So just do that. In fact, I don't get to use this very often, but
I wrote down
overlay
FOF 10 to use the promo code for later on. Get some.
There you go.
Yeah.
Billy. Yeah. So, okay. Regarding September roster expansions, that's still 3 weeks away in terms of what they would do there.
Yeah,
it's usually one pitcher and one hitter that it kind of shakes out. In this case with the Marlins, the way that's lining up, one of them is probably going to be pretty boring and expected because I think the way that Connor Norby's rehab is trending, they'll just add him back into the mix without necessarily sending anybody down on the hitting side. And then the question is what they do with that other spot. I know one sexy idea would be Robbie Snelling for him to get called up. He's been amazing in Jacksonville. What do you think about that, Kevin? Where do we stand with I wasn't actually planning on going into much prospect talk, but maybe even Billy. Do you know about Robbie Snelling? He's been amazing.
I know he's sexy prospect.
Yeah, Kevin. How do you think the likelihood of that is shaping up to be at this point? They've had this set rotation now for a couple months with the same guys, but it's been fading as of late. Cal Quantrill in particular, pending free agent, and Jansen Junk pitching tonight. He's been trending in a bad direction. It's not that hard to create an opening for Snelling if they feel he's ready. And do you think we're going to see that this year, or is it going to get pushed back to 2026?
Yeah, I unfortunately think it'll go back to 2026. Everything I've heard is that they're going to save him up in AAA, see if he can keep this up. And to his credit, he's been awesome. Like, he had the 14 strikeout game. I think he had 10 the other day. He's been awesome. I mean, he's ready. But unfortunately, just the way things work, and obviously, you want to save up those years of service time or control, whatever it may be. They'll probably just call him up next year. And just looking at the minor leagues, like Thomas, he's awesome. He's not going to get called up, but he's awesome. Like, he's been so good at AA. Why not put him at AAA? Let him finish the year at AAA, see what you got. Him, Mazer, Snelling in the same rotation. That would be pretty fun to watch. But when it comes to that pitcher, they could potentially see coming up. We all remember Cade Gibson, who was literally on the team a couple days ago. That would probably be the move, if I had to guess. Unless they like Gusto made his Marlins debut, and maybe they'll throw him into the rotation and see what they got. Traded in that, acquired in the Jesus Sanchez trade. He looked fine in his Marlins debut. I didn't watch too much of it, but from what I did, definitely got into some, had some command issues, but was able to tighten up and gave the Marlins 6 innings, which is essentially what you needed in game 1 of that doubleheader. At the time, save up your bullpen for game 2, but unfortunately, we know how that ended up, and they did not use the right guys in that game. But aside from that, there's more guys on the 40-man that they could call up. Tarnick, Mazer, maybe finally give Mazer the chance. I did not know Michael Peterson was on the 40-man for the Miami Marlins, but he is, and he's there, and maybe gets called up. But I think it'll be pretty boring on both sides for these 2 September call-ups. Unfortunately, how it's been the last couple of years too, I believe. I think it's just been those boring call-ups, unless Norby was the September call-up last year, but I don't think that was the case.
No, that was a little before that. Is this true, Billy, that you've mentioned LMF, Loud Miami Fan, twice on the Levitard show?
Possibly.
You could lie about it and just say no.
I mean, no, I may have. I'm sure I have. I don't know if it's exactly 2 times. I'm all in on this Robbie Snelling. I got to tell you, I'm looking up his stats. He has been really good for 2 months now.
He's a stud.
May, not so much. Rough May for old Robbie, but July and August, oh my God.
Just a little background for you and anybody else is that he was the Padres minor league pitcher of the year in 2023. Then he had really a lot of trouble adjusting to the AA level early last season. And the Marlins kind of bought low on him, even though he wasn't getting the results. He was so much younger than all the competition he was facing. His velocity was down, but they thought they could fix it. they fixed it, among other things, among adding pitches to his mix as well. But his fastball is up. His breaking ball is better than ever. He added a new pitch in a slider in addition to his curveball. And that's why the results have totally taken off, even while now he continues to be like the youngest guy at the AAA level. In fact, if they called him up, he'd be the youngest pitcher in the major leagues, which is another factor that goes into this and why there's not a huge rush one way or another, even if it feels like he's ready. But these guys, you want to be totally sure, especially with pitching prospects, because some guys can get off to a really rough start and then never totally find themselves. In his case, one of the indications I was looking for is his pitching schedule and any hints that could show, because he hasn't yet pitched on what you would call regular rest for a major league pitcher. He hasn't gone. He's been given more time off in between his starts throughout his career, and I don't think they would actually, if they were really thinking about pulling the trigger on that, you'd have to see him pitch on regular rest first in the minors and see how that goes. So based on the schedule for this week, I don't think anything is imminent there, and I side with Kevin. I don't want to be on the gloomy side, but this isn't really a gloomy thing. This is just a subjective take in terms of when he's ready and when we might see him. But yeah,
one name I would keep an eye out on the position player side, and as crazy as it sounds, Jacob Berry's been awesome. Like for the last 2 or 3 months in AAA, he's hitting the ball well, doing his thing. Unfortunately, defensively, he's just been awful. There's no other way to really put it. Wow. I would try him out at first base because Eric Wagaman, there's no going up with that guy right now. And if you get to September and Jacob Berry's still hitting well, why not? At this point, you got to put him on the 40 man if you want to. If you have any assumptions or thoughts, and I know Eli put an article out on this on Fish on First that he could go in the Rule 5 draft and you would lose him for nothing, for maybe some money. You get some money in return, I think is how it works. But aside from that, you may as well give it a shot at that point in September if you feel confident that the guy's going to go up there and, you're already out of it by that point more than there are right now. But that would be someone I would give a shot to. I think you've got nothing to lose at this point with this player. Eric Wagman, clearly it isn't going well. They really don't have a clear backup option. And I guess Troy, I forgot about him. Liam Hicks just hasn't been great recently. And I'd much rather see him behind the plate. There is Barry Bonds, baby. Yup. So yeah, and he could get the reps there. I mean, Matt Mervis was released. Davison they're kind of like putting him at third base quite a bit in AAA. So give Barry some reps at first, see what happens, and hope that you prepare him enough to where he could go up to the big leagues and see what's up. You never know. You got a month, see what happens, and hope that maybe this is a guy who they could finally invest something into a little bit here and give him a little run.
Got this question on Ryan Weathers and how he's doing coming back from a lat strain. It's still going to be a while. He should be back this season. The word I saw from Clayton McCullough was hopeful that he's going to return because he is. I think he's not throwing off a mound, and he threw a bullpen.
He threw a bullpen. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll go on a rehab assignment. All things go well. Maybe he goes on a rehab assignment next week, but you still have to build up your innings from there. So I would anticipate seeing him maybe 4 weeks from now. Best case scenario, sometime in mid-September. So he'll get a couple starts. It'll be very reminiscent of last year, where last year he missed a big chunk of the year due to a finger issue, came back in September, looked great, but only for like 3 starts at the end of the year. It is tracking towards being a very similar situation this time around, where he'll have time to show that he's healthy again, but not really be a meaningful part of this wild card run that the team is currently on.
Do we think he pitches a third straight game 162 for the Marlins?
Yeah, he threw a bullpen last Wednesday before the Astros game, and I believe Christina as playing if there was certainty that he would come back this year. And even the Classic, unsure about it. We'll see, but he did mention that he is exceeding through rehab, but at a faster rate than they once thought. So good to see him finally throwing a pen, and maybe hopefully towards September we can finally see the return of Weathers. It'll be fun to see how he fits back into this rotation because I don't know, it depends which one of these guys decide to slow down.
The other injury update that I saw, and this was from Aram, he mentioned Griffin Conine, and it seems like he may come back sooner rather than later, and that would be pretty cool too to see him. Unfortunate the way he went down. I spoke to him. He had been finally doing some stuff, and seems like he went to an appointment with Alatrache, I think is how you say it, and seems like it went better than expected, and he could come back soon. That's the one, and then the Tinoco one, which I think is done for the year, but we'll see how that goes.
Right. For anybody that didn't see that from Christina, Tinoco has been shut down from his throwing program. He was a fun story at the end of last year, where he was just a waiver claim that ended up closing games for a few weeks last season with the Marlins and doing well, but didn't look quite right at any point this year, even when he was healthy. And now at this point, if you got to pause, depending on what news he gets from the doctor, maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing, but still it's going to be a pause in his progression in a way that unlikely at this point for pitchers. If pitchers are not currently throwing right now, for them to build up all the way to being major league ready, you could kind of just roll them out at this point. So it does look like Tinoco is gone. And then they got a question whether he'll even be carried on the roster going into the offseason. That could go either way.
And he's on a 6. Oh, they have to reinstate him. Never mind. Yeah.
I have a question. Did you guys see? I don't know exactly when it was, but I saw it on Twitter. I think Xavier Edwards was on with Jared Carabas. Did you see this? Where he was talking about on the team plane they play Mario Kart against each other. Are you guys familiar with this story?
I have seen them play Mario Kart in the clubhouse.
Okay, so it carries over to the clubhouse.
This is Cal Quantrill's very good at Mario Kart from my limited observations.
Okay, so this is like a team thing that carries over not just on the plane in the clubhouse. They're playing Mario Kart also.
Yes.
And Cal Quantrill's the best player?
From my limited observations, yes, he's very good. Him and Fauché.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had not actually heard that interview yet. I'll probably check it out. And in my frantic research, I just typed in stuff on Twitter to see if I could find anything Mario Kart related. And I actually found this tweet from our old buddy Grant Kiefer noting that Marlins, when they had that really long road winning streak, this is from last month when the team was in Cincinnati, that playing Mario Kart in the clubhouse pregame was something that maybe they weren't doing all year, but when they started doing that, coincided with this team taking off.
So I saw somewhere, I think it was like on Instagram or something, where it was a study of like what are the most relaxing and most stressful video games out there, and Mario Kart was ranked as the most stressful video game that you can play. Where I think the least stressful was Animal Crossing. It seems as though this team bonding is almost trauma bonding with Mario Kart.
It's working.
You made some enemies in Mario Kart too. Like if someone throws a banana at you, like it's not a fun time. So it must, I don't know, ingrain some competitive energy into this squad, which is working. So I guess there's no complaints.
I don't know how much Mario Kart you guys play, but I have a bone to pick with Mario Kart, and it's that when you're playing Mario Kart, the cars in last place or second to last place, they get all of the good weapons when you drive through.
Yeah.
They always end up getting the one that's like that giant blue like bullet thing that goes out and it takes out everybody. They get the big shell that takes out the person in first place. If you're doing well, you're almost punished by the prizes and weapons in Mario Kart, where all the bad drivers get all of the good weapons. I don't think that it's random.
I played Mario Kart Wii.
Yeah,
that was the case back then. Yeah.
It's not random.
Maybe ask Cal Quantrill about that next time.
Well, you know what? I will, Billy, just for you.
Yeah,
it's called parody.
And also maybe tell him a little less Mario Kart, a little more pitching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You tell him that though, not me. I wouldn't say that to him.
It's okay. Yeah, I got you. I'll tell Jeremy to tell him that.
He was on my fantasy team last week, so I'm not on the best of terms.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, I'm not. We're not. This is a playoff push for me too, Cal. Okay, don't just worry about the real Marlins. Worry about my fantasy team. Anyway,
pick up Jansen Junk. He's been pretty great.
He's not out there. Someone already got Jansen Junk. We were talking before you got on here, Kevin, about how like if we were to have the conversation that Jansen Junk would be starting a game when the Marlins are kind of right there and we're still in playoff contention, you'd think that we were crazy. If you hear Jansen Junk is starting a game, I'm excited to see a Jansen Junk game in mid-August. You're like, okay, this team's probably like no disrespect to Jansen Junk, but this team's probably like 20 games out of it at this point.
Johnny Cueto was starting games in 2023 in the playoff push, so you know.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Cueto didn't start the year in Jacksonville, then come in as lawn.
Yeah, well, he did start the year injured.
Well.
And he was really bad. Like, he was terrible.
Kevin, you brought up what? Bobby Garcia, Gene Segura.
I brought up the trio, the 2023 trio.
We got to put you in timeout, man. I don't want to hear these names.
with all the focus on Jansen Junk, the fact that we have 2 FIU Panthers on here, I'd be remiss not to point out that Logan Allen is starting the series opener for the Guardians.
Yeah.
One of the all-time best FIU Panthers in terms of his conversion to Major League Baseball and the production that he's had. Kevin, I think you spoke with him last year. You want to fill us in terms of his FIU career and what to expect from him now? They faced him before last year, but now under bigger stakes this time, and he's still rolling along pretty well. He's been a stable part of this Guardians rotation for a team that they themselves have been red hot coming into this series.
Well, I think up until a couple of days ago, he was the only FIU Panther as a major leaguer. So it does help that JC Scar was recalled from AAA Scranton. Did him dirty by not letting him play the Marlins. But he's been awesome. I mean, I think recently he's been great. 3.96 ERA. A little bit lucky with the 4.42 FIP. We won't look at the expected ERA either. But he's been a workhorse for this Guardians team. Over 100 innings pitched. He's been good. It's just the walks have been a little bit of an issue. He was a fine FIU Panther from my recollection. But he's not Lowell's obviously the greatest to come out of that school. As crazy as there it is. He's probably number 2. As sad as it sounds, he's probably number 2. So
tied with Mark Lee.
Whoever that is.
Whoa.
He's probably they're on the wall though. They're on the FIU wall. So.
Did you speaking of FIU for a second, Kevin, you're probably the only one that will find this interesting. Did you watch the Dolphins preseason game this weekend or no?
Yes. Maurice Alexander.
I wasn't gonna mention him. I had no recollection of Ben Johnson being a volunteer coach at FIU in 2019. And they mentioned it, and I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Ben Johnson, who was like the coach.
2019?
He was a volunteer under Butch Davis after he got fired. It doesn't even show up on his Wikipedia as like an FIU coach because he was a volunteer coach in 2019. No idea. Did not remember that at all.
That is unbelievable. I've never heard that before.
It's crazy how he was just like, I can't find a job. I know Butch. I'll just go volunteer at FIU, and then I'll work my way back. And, hey, now everybody wants him.
Ben Johnson. There is a wait. Is this it? No. There's no photos of this man wearing an FIU thing, so.
Oh, maybe Goldie made it up. Are you saying Goldie's a liar?
I don't think Goldie's a liar. Goldie's the man.
All right, well, you called.
He'll be calling the Penn State game.
Are you gonna go?
Probably not.
Oh.
I'll save my time.
Yeah, it's not easy to get to. It's a number of flights. I looked into this because I it'd be cool to go to Happy Valley for a game and see FIU. I kind of think we all know the expected outcome of that game, but just to go would be fun, right? And then I was like, man, it's gonna take. This is not easy. It's multiple flights, then a drive.
Place is in the middle of nowhere. Happy Valley is like the ghost town.
And it's like, how much do I actually want to spend to make this happen for a game that I'll be like, this was not fun. Why did I do this to myself?
Hopefully Scott Carr's watching and he could take us out there.
There you go. I don't know that he'd be watching this, but maybe.
We'll get you on the Positive Podcast to say that.
Okay.
Maybe I will clip this particular segment that was FIU adjacent and publish it separately, and that will get Scott Carr and other FIU people too.
But Kevin called Goldie a liar, so you're gonna have to clean up the part where Kevin said Goldie's a liar. So I
just want to see. I need photo evidence of this.
Yeah.
Just like what was the Bills' offense? Ken Dorsey. He was an assistant AD at FIU.
Whatever. Colin, you're the man. Go Bucks. I had to just point that out. Sorry.
There you go. Well, I mean, I think most people remember Ken Dorsey not in that capacity. They would remember him more so as a quarterback who won a national championship. But
he was at FIU.
Remember when he was going to be I don't know how this. Well, it's my fault. But remember when he was going to be like the hot coaching prospect, and then like a year later he got fired, and now it's kind of like, oh, maybe Ken Dorsey wasn't that good after all.
Where is he now? He's with the Cowboys, I think. As an analyst,
he's
really gone down the coaching tree.
Is he with the Cowboys?
I believe so.
All right.
Yeah. Oh well.
I believe you.
How do I transition back to baseball?
Sorry. That's my fault. I apologize.
On the subject, we've covered the starting pitchers for this first game. But Nate, we brought up Eddie before, and I kind of want to tie him into Yuri because you take a look back at what they've done this season, and they're neck and neck in like everything. It's the same ERA, it's the same FIP, it's the same strikeout rate, it's the same home run prevention. When they're on, it kind of looks the same. I kind of proposed this to Kevin as a potential article idea, but it might just work better just to talk it out on a stream in terms of who do we think you trust most right now. Sandy, unfortunately, has kind of abdicated that title of being the ace of this team. It's been so long since he's actually performed like one that it really is between Yuri and Eddie, and they're kind of doing the same thing. They do it in slightly different ways. And for a series like this, where they both happen to be starting games that they have to win, if not like both of those games, at least one of them, who do you have more faith in getting it done against this Guardians team this week?
That is fascinating. Right this second, you have to go with Edward Cabrera, I feel like. The guy, since May, outside of that one start in Baltimore before the All-Star break, when he had that little issue with his arm, he's been spectacular. He's gone at least 6 innings, feels like, every start, at least as of late. His stuff is on all the time. He's being aggressive. He's attacking guys. He's barely walking guys anymore, which was our biggest issue forever with Cabby, it felt like. He can command every pitch. Like I mentioned earlier, that curveball is so spot on. Throwing the changeup less, that power change that we have all grown accustomed to seeing, throwing that less, mixing in that splitter and throwing the sinker and throwing his four seam less. The guy's been so dominant against so many lineups as well. And you can say the same for Yuri. I think just the only thing with Yuri is that, of course, that Thursday game against the Braves didn't get any swing and miss, it felt like. And the thing with Yuri also, he can fall into trouble with Ryan on his four seam too much. He's very confident in that pitch. He said it plenty of times before and after games that he feels like his four seamer is the best in baseball, and to a degree it is. I believe it has some of the best value amongst any pitch in between all starting pitches and all of baseball. But you rely on that pitch too much, and major league hitters are going to figure it out. Still has a little bit of that. I wouldn't say immaturity, but you could see on Thursday that the umpire was getting into his head with those bad calls. Might have snowballed a little bit, and that's no knock on him really. That's just it's going to happen to you. It's happened to Cabby. So right now, I would go with Cabrera. I think I'm with Parrish on this right now. Yuri in the future, but Cabby right now, the guy's been incredible for the past 3 months now. You got to ride the hot hand. But the Marlins having these two and Jansen, who I believe in, they're going to have a really good shot to take 2 out of 3 against a tough Guardians team.
Yeah, when Eli told me to start working on this, I was like, it's got to be Cabby for now. But next year, a Yuri where you hope you don't have these innings limits or pitch limit or whatever it may be, at least not as tight as it is right now, he's your ace. He's a young goat. The baby goat, whatever you want to call it, he's very good. And he has been very good this season. Outside of a couple bad starts at the beginning of the season, he's been great. For some reason, I just still feel like Edward, I don't know. I feel like it could explode at any minute. But Nate noted it. You got to ride the hot hand, and that's Edward Cabrera. And I think someone put a game one starter, and it's Edward Cabrera. Like, that's who you go with. So, yeah.
Do you have any strong thoughts on that, Billy?
No. I'm sorry. I was looking up the schedule. I was looking up pitching logs. I was seeing how it is that the Marlins have fared against these pitchers. And there's only 2 Marlins that have faced Logan Allen, and no Marlin have faced Gavin Williams or Tanner Bibby. So I'm just trying to already get ahead on my series predictions here. So sorry.
Well, I'm glad that you're taking that seriously. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I figured that Kevin would, Kevin and Nate would handle that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sir, my final word on this, if you want to frame it in terms of actual do or die game in like a postseason setting, I would go with Eddie under that circumstance.
That's crazy. We're saying that in 2025.
I mean, would you say that a month ago or 2 months ago, or is this just a now thing?
It's a now thing.
I think a month ago I'd probably go with that too. He still has been so good. He's only pitched in 7 games since?
No, you're right. If you would have told me this, if you said the Marlins are in the playoffs, like during the first month of the season, I'd rather throw like anyone else out there. I don't even know who I would throw out there that time.
Yeah, if you would have told me in March after I watched him, forfeit 3 balls over the Green Monster in Fort Myers that would be saying this right now, I would have called you probably insane. But just to put stats behind what I was saying earlier, the guy's gone 6 against the Phillies, 7 against Minnesota when they had all their guys, 7 against Milwaukee, 6 against St. Louis, 6 against New York, and 8 against Atlanta, who tormented the rest of this Marlins staff. The guy's been doing it against good teams. He's not walking guys. His stuff is amazing. Right now, it is Edward Cabrera, and that's crazy we're saying that, but it's a testament to what he's done on himself and on his game this year. It's been incredible.
Do
Good
you
for
guys
him.
think Sandy's done? Like, do you think there's anything he can do in the offseason and come back next year and like make adjustments, or do you think that it's just we got the best of Sandy and that's it?
I'll start with this. I actually didn't know this. He barely threw that curveball before the Tommy John. So now he's like, that's like one of his, I think it may be his most used or second most used pitch. It's crazy how much he's using that pitch. And it's crazy how bad that pitch has been at times this year, which really hurt him. I think if you make some adjustments, pitch arsenal wise, or you go back to what you were doing, which clearly was working. I don't know how much of it was implemented by the coaching staff to make these changes. Maybe you get some sort of 2022 Sandy, but right now, this year, at this time, unfortunately, I think Sandy Alcantara, there's not much fixing you could do at this point. I think, honestly, a fan of my Elston, if he really struggles out the next time, which it'd be against Boston in Fenway, not great. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, unfortunately, Nye Elston may have to come and see if he could fix this.
So are you disappointed that he wasn't traded?
I didn't
I'm
really
pretty
think it was
indifferent
a
at this
serious
point.
option in the first place. I was kind of weeding through some of the rumors out there and people that have agendas when they report stuff like that. It didn't really pass the smell test for me because I just didn't see the way that he would help a contending team right now in a way that would get them that interested in giving up any significant talent on top of taking him aboard in that moment. I mean, to answer your original question, I do have faith in him figuring stuff out in the off season and applying that in a way that could still be a very solid starting pitcher. That aside from some pitch mix stuff that Kevin referenced, like throwing his worst pitch a lot more than he should be in that curveball, the velocity is still there. And the strike throwing has been there for a while now, for most of this season, actually going back to like this end of May. Like he's able to throw strikes and get ahead in counts, and that's a pretty important ingredient in terms of being a pitcher. So it's not like he's totally out of sync in that aspect of it. I still have faith in him. I believe in his work ethic. If you want to get sappy and intangible about that, like he just continued to get better and better in a pretty straight line from when the Marlins acquired him to when he won the Cy Young. And I think that stuff can still serve you well when you get into your 30s and age. Not, I don't know about gracefully, but in terms of bouncing back a lot from where he was this year, it's just not the type of thing that I think he can really figure out the rest of this season. And that's why they're in a very awkward spot where a lot of these other guys are, I mean, they're all trying to compete, but to have him as a fixture in your rotation while you're doing that, and there are some really tantalizing options in the minors, including Mr. Mustache, Robbie Snelling, among others. Like you can, in terms of an actual like baseball decision, having him continue to be in the rotation down the stretch, it's really hard to justify it. At the same time, I can understand why they still want to keep him in a good mental space looking ahead to 2026 and beyond.
Not to get too in the weeds, but like how much leeway do you think he has? Like, why do you think he keeps throwing his worst pitch? Do you think this is a him thing? Like, because there's pitch comp and stuff like that. Like, how in control is he of that?
There are some pitchers that call their own pitches, but most of them don't, and he doesn't. I know that he kind of puts his trust in the coaching staff and then in his catcher to make those calls. So he's kind of gone along with it, and that's been an interesting wrinkle in all this, where he's getting a lot different input from a coaching staff this year as compared to the one that he always had in his previous years with the Marlins. And it's not working out well, but yet, by all accounts, he has still been very receptive to what they're saying. Like he's been buying into what they're doing. He hasn't really been protesting it in a way that I think it's commendable. I think it's to put your faith in your teammates, and the data that they have is something that has helped a lot of his teammates pitch well this year. It has worked for a lot of the other pitchers on the staff in a way that just makes it extra frustrating, where he's made these adjustments, and the adjustments have worked well for Edward Cabrera for most of all, and yet in his game, it's taken him back. So but it's not him. It's a very complicated issue. And
what if we bring back Mel just for his pitching days, like his own personal Mel Stottlemyre Jr. pitching coach, and everyone else can, do what they're doing now, but Mel is just back for him, part-time type thing,
That'd be pretty funny.
Not 40 hours a week. He'll do, hourly, clock in, clock out, whatever he's got to do,
You'll make him like you'll have him just like meet the team where like in Toronto, wherever they may be.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. I
That
think
is- That
it's
is a good
doable.
point, though, to be honest, because Mel helped him be so successful, but also him throwing in Jacob Stallings for a couple of years exclusively, and then you go from a handful of catchers this year. Obviously, Billy, I know.
You could bring
That's
him back.
completely out of the question. Stallings is not coming
Just,
back. Okay?
just
I understand. He did
look. We
It's
can make
not
a special. We can make a rule where Jacob Stallings is the catcher, but someone hits for him.
Listen, in no way am I requesting for Jacob Stallings to come back. That guy spent a pool noodle for what 2-3 years he was in Miami. That's not what I'm saying.
Did he forget what he did in his return? He took Edward Cabrera deep.
That's awesome, and he had that huge double against the Braves in 23. But besides that, just throwing to one guy for 2-3. I forgot how long Stallings is here. 2-3 years, and then going to Liam Hicks, Artesine Ramirez, Nick Fortes. It could throw you off, and I feel like a lot of it is just confidence as well. It's all like a defensive back in football. That position is so much confidence based. It's so mental. And for a guy that won the Cy Young 3 years ago to now be just getting torched every time you go out there, having an ERA around 6, it can't be done on the mental. So I feel like this season is going to be a lot more treading water. I feel like it's just experimenting to get anything that'll work. And it worked for a little bit with that curveball, a little bit of a lower release, just trying out anything to work. But I feel like this year it's not going to improve at least drastically. A lot of still treading water, like I said. But like Eli said, I believe in Sandy. The guy has done it, for 6 years now in Miami, 6 or 7 years. So if there's one guy I believe to turn it around, it's him. But it might take some time still.
Okay, let us quickly take a look at these lineups for this first game of this Marlins series that took up quite a bit of attention when the Marlins posted their lineup today. They are facing Logan Allen, a lefty, and this team changes their lineup pretty dramatically depending on whether they're facing a lefty and a righty. So that means Eric Wagman is in. That means Derek Hill is in. That means Dane Myers is in. I wrote up about Dane's extended slump on our site just yesterday. For all the flack that other players on this team have taken for their streakiness, Dane is the one that's been in the deepest slump for the longest period. It goes back almost 2 months now, and you could kind of split his season directly in half. And there was the first half where he was arguably their best player overall. And there's been the second half where there's been no power and no on base. And the weird thing is, like, he's still making contact. Like, he doesn't look overmatched by the pitching that he's facing, but he has not been driving the ball as well. He's not been making hard contact. He has, and yeah, the overall production kind of speaks for itself, where he's hitting in the 100s over the mid 100s over this extended period of time, and yet batting cleanup tonight. So I wonder, I would be flattered if the organization read my article and then wanted to pivot as hard as possible away from that in order to show their confidence in him by putting him in that spot. We'll see. He's coming off a decent game on Sunday, but other than that, I think that was the most surprising aspect of this, Kevin, just to see Dane as high up in the order as he is tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lineup. I'll tell you that much. Like, where's Kyle Stowers? Like, I understand it's a lefty, but for God's sakes, the guy he's been good against left-handed pitching this year. Like, and you're putting Derek Hill in there? Like, with all due respect to Derek Hill, he's actually been pretty great since coming off the IL. It's been 5 games, but he has a home run, 2 hits. He's doing his thing as a nice defensive replacement. Sonoha, he's somehow gotten to a power surge recently, so sure. But what in the world is Eric Wagman doing in this lineup?
Oh,
Like, where's Troy? Like, I don't know. I understand it's a lefty. You got to respect that it's a lefty, but as an FIU current student, it's Logan Allen. It's not like you're facing, I don't know, a very top tier left-handed pitcher. And who's in center? Derek Hill's, and like, why not Jacob Marcy in center? What did Jacob Marcy do to go to left field? He's a great center fielder, and I understand Derek Hill's a good center fielder too. But I don't know. Not my favorite lineup. Probably, honestly, one of the worst I've seen this season. If I'm being totally honest,
I think this sums it up.
This is really bad
because there have been some very unpopular lineups this year that have done very surprisingly.
And Augustine is catching too, by the way, which does not make it any better.
I will note that statistically, the Marlins have been a much worse offense against lefties this year than righties. So even though they have tried very hard to do as platoon as much as possible in this aspect, it hasn't really worked this year. They've won some of those games in spite of their offense. There have been a few occasions where they've popped off surprisingly, but they've leaned very hard into trying to match up this way in a way that the results say that it's not really working. Yet they are going to stick with it, at least in this case.
No faith in Clayton, huh? Putting his guys out there. This could be the lineup
Excel
to win
sheet?
the manager of the year right here. No one put Dana cleanup today, but Clayton did.
Yeah, the Excel sheet did a good job today.
Wow, jeez, Louise.
Sorry, Billy.
You missed Skip?
Yes.
Oh, you don't like Clayton?
No, Clayton's a great guy.
Don't?
No.
he meant to say Clayton's a great guy, but no, he doesn't hate Clayton. No. They're very different types of managers. And it was for all the good that Skip did, it was clear that he wasn't meshing with Bendix in a way that there was going to be a divorce there, like it or not.
We miss you, Skip.
Clayton is more aligned with what they're doing here.
I think it's more likely that Scott Carr is listening to this and Skip is listening to this, Kevin.
You like attack, Skip.
Okay. Whoa. Sorry.
Please don't.
Yeah. Well, that thing
Skip was a very intimidating guy. I'll tell you that.
Was he?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great guy, though. I love Skip. I do miss him.
Yeah, we built a pretty great relationship. With him.
Eli, tell him we all miss him.
First of all, before that, let us get into the final segment of the show.
Send him a link. Send him a link. See if he'll just join right now. Just send him a thing. See if he'll click it.
I'll talk.
It's prediction time.
This is prediction time.
I think we're going to win a lot of games, a lot more games than you think we're going to win this year.
Prediction time. Across the entire season, we track our staffers, our live stream guests, such as Billy, and our valued super subs on our site. You guys have about 10 minutes left before first pitch if you want your predictions to count either on fishonfirst.com or in the Marlins Discord server. We try to anticipate how many games the Marlins will win, who will be the series MVP as determined by win probability added. You could pick an MVP from either team, a hitter or a pitcher. We've had a lead change relatively recently. One of our super subs, Rings, he is now just a point ahead of Hector Rodriguez on top of the leaderboard. I'm quickly running out of time in order to make any sort of big run. Yeah. But we will keep go ahead, Billy.
Not as bad as loud Miami fan down there at the bottom. Ooh.
That's not all the way on the bottom. This is only a cutoff of a portion of the leaderboard. We've had close to 60 people over the course of the season make predictions, but some of them very low totals. So
Nate's not there.
Yeah, where's Nate at?
I think I'm in the top 8 teams somewhere. It's like a glitch or something. I don't know what's going on. I think Eli made a mistake. I don't know.
Nate just barely missed.
Look at me, number 5. I never get mentioned, but I'm up there.
Yeah, Kevin is still in the mix. So
somehow
taking this quite seriously.
Not really.
Well, let's get to it. Billy, you know how this works, but we'll start off with Kevin, as is our usual tradition here. So I'll get the music going, and let's get into it. A 3-game set between the Marlins and Guardians.
All right. Marlins this week, and let's go with
Try that again. We had the audio was mumbling for you. Just repeat that, and we'll be good to go.
The Miami Marlins will sweep the Cleveland Guardians. Like with the Marlins, coming off a tough series in Atlanta, I got to think that they're a little bit more motivated for this one going into it. And I think their pitching is just going to be a little bit better. And the MVP is going to be Agustin Ramirez. I think he bounces back after a rough series and goes yard 3 times against the Cleveland Guardians.
Wow.
Okay, Nate Karsmer, your prediction, sir.
Wow. Yeah, this has definitely been one of my favorite streams of the year, talking about Mario Kart, the 2019 FIU football Panthers, and Skip Schumacher, everything in between. And I'm going to cap it off with I think the Marlins will win 2 out of 3 in Cleveland. And the driving force behind that, starting pitching, notably Edward Cabrera. That guy's a stud. We talked about him all show long. He's going to keep showing out in the great state of Ohio. Eddie Taste Film.
Okay, Billy Gill, it is your turn. Just like that.
All right, I'm going to go the Marlins are going to win 2 out of 3. And I think I'm going to give my MVP to Xavier Edwards. I was going to do Dane Myers because you guys are so down on him. You know what? I'm switching it. It's going to be Dane. Dane is going to get hot. He's due. He's going to win 2 games for the Marlins of the 3. Him by himself. Dane Myers.
I love it.
Okay, so I will bring us home. And I also had the Marlins winning this series 2 out of 3. I believe in the larger sample of this team playing well. A lot of it is just coming down to that starting pitching and somewhat of the bullpen as well. But really, if the starters do what they're capable of doing, they should win this series, even against a very competitive Guardians team. Very close games. I like the Marlins' chances here. And I'll go with the other co-ace. Nate already took Eddie, so I'll go with Yuri Perez, a big bounce-back start for him. Will be the finale of this series, the rubber game that will ultimately make the difference. So Marlins take 2 out of 3 and get back on track to where they were before this recent downturn. There we go. That is our show, Fish on First Live. Thank you again, Billy. That was a lot of fun, and as usual, went in some unpredictable directions there. But I hope it was a very memorable show.
I love it.
Looking forward to have you back in the future. Kevin Burrell, Nate Karsmer, and I am Eli Sussman. The show presented by About the Fans. Go to aboutthefans.com and you'll find our collection over there. Another stream coming up on Friday and plenty of content between now and then on Fish on First. So continue checking that out. We appreciate everybody that supports what we do. As always, go Fish.
Fish on First Live is presented by About the Fans. We've partnered with them this season on a brand new merchandise collection featuring t-shirts, polos, hats, and other accessories that Marlins fans will absolutely love. Head on over to aboutthefans.com to shop the FOF collection. Use our special coupon code FOF10 to save 10% off your order. Enter code FOF10 at checkout to save 10% and continue supporting what we do over here.